Now let's go to the other right that I would like to talk about, right to education. I must say, it is this right that has even helped me to be on this platform, to share the knowledge, to connect with other knowledges globally. Now, when we go into our chapter 5 of the 1992 Constitution, particularly talking about human rights, specifically Article 25, helps us to understand this right to education. So somebody will say that, then I remember FQ, free compulsory basic universal education. Somebody will say that, then I remember free SHS, free senior high school policy. Somebody will tell you that I remember free progressive and a whole lot. Now this right entitles or give that opportunity to every citizen of school going age, every citizen who as at that time has the right to go access education. We're talking about the basic school, SHS, tertiary, and so on and so forth. This right is very, very important, very, very key. That is why most countries invest heavily in the educational sector. Because I must say, like I said, it is this right that has helped some of us to be on this platform, to share our ideas, our knowledge, thought, and connect with other ideas also as well. In Ghana, we have children who are in school. It's this right that permits them to go to school. Either than that, society will take a different turn, such as child trafficking, human slavery, and a whole form of abuse against their right. What are the benefits that we get from this right? This right even helps us to know the other rights that exist and how to even claim them. So without the right to education, you wouldn't even know that you have the right to vote and be voted for, and even how to claim that right. So right to education is very, very important. It educates us on the rest of the rights and how to claim those rights. Now let's move to the last right that I would like to talk about. I said there are a whole host of human rights that we can get in the Constitution, but I pick 4. So 1, I talk about right to life. 2, I talk about right to education. 3, I spoke about right to speech or freedom to speech as we normally coin it. So the last one that I'll be talking about is the right to fair trial. Somebody will say fair hearing and trial. What does this right say? And how is it like? What benefit do we get from this right? Now we'll go straight into our Constitution, chapter 5, of course. Article 19 also helps us to understand this right to fair hearing and trial, how to acquire it, and so on and so forth. So under this particular right, we know that when there is an instance or when there is a crime, the victims of those crimes have the right to fair hearing and trial. What do we mean by that? So we are trying to say that there should be an independent, an impartial jurisdictional court to preside over that case. The victims also have the right to what? A fair hearing and trial. They have that right to get a representative, that is a lawyer. They also have the right for their offense or the crime that they have committed to be explained in their own language, and so on and so forth. So today, when we go into our media landscape, when we go into our media space, we have a whole host of cases at the Supreme Court, at the Apex Court, at the High Court, all because of this right. So whenever there is an infringement on a citizen's right, the best resort is the law court, and the final resort in terms of the court is the Supreme Court of Ghana. So we have the ambulance case, we have petitions at the court, and so on and so forth. This makes our democracy very vibrant. So at this point, we have been able to look at some of the rights that we have as enshrined in the Constitution. Now let's move straight to the other learning outcome. So at this point, we are going to look at the 5 types of rights that we have. The 5 types of rights that we have in Ghana. We have a whole host of rights. Like I said, this right can be grouped or categorized into various sections or groups, and we have 5 of them. So the first one is civil human right. What is this right? So when we talk about civil human right, then we are talking about our civic and political right. Civic and political right. So freedom of speech falls under this right. As an example, freedom of speech and expression, freedom of religion and belief. Yes, religion and belief. Right to fair hearing and due process also falls under this. Right to privacy and protection from unreasonable searches. The right to access education and employment opportunities are examples under this right. So, civil human right, our civic and political right. Political right, right to vote, right to be voted for. Our civic, right to join civil society organizations, right to criticize the government in the form of expressing our views. So, this is civil human right. Very, very essential right, of course. Now we move to the next type of, or the next category of fundamental human right. And we have the political human right. Political human right. The political human right. So this right also helps us to engage in the political process. We all know we are in the political year. Political year, election year, of course. And it is this particular year that we experience the vibrancy of our democracy. How this particular type of right is being displayed or exhibited in the country. So at this time, every citizen has the right to join any political party. Every person who is eligible can contest, either for member of parliament, can contest as a president, can join a civil society organization to do constructive criticisms against the government. So that is political human right that we are talking about here. So recently, the Electoral Commission, registration, mobile exercise, all these things are elements or pieces gathered together to form the whole political human right. Now we move on to the other right, other group or category that we are going to talk about, which is economic human right. The economic human right. Ensure that individuals are able to access resources and opportunities necessary for a dignified life. So back then in JHS, economic human right, right to own property is part, right to work is part, right to what? Fair wages is also part. So this particular type of right helps us to live a dignified life, a life that is free from what? Discrimination, a life that is accepted socially. So recently, because of this particular type of right, workers have that right to agitate if they are being discriminated against in terms of what? Salary, in terms of working condition. So we can cite the SITAC strike as an example. There is this right that permits them to display what they are doing now, that is the strike. So without this right, they could have been silenced, oppressed, discriminated. But because of this right, this economic human right, fair wages, and God being so good also, we have institutions that are set up to make sure that these rights are being gotten or lived fully, So we can say economic human rights are very, 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 very important. Very important, I must say. So the SITAC strike, the demonstration against Senate hotels. So I spoke of independent institutions that are set up, like the National Labor Commission, Fair Wages and Salaries Commission. All these bodies are there to make sure that our right, that is economic right, we live it fully. So that is economic human right for us. Now let's go to the next type of right, which is social and cultural human right. Social and cultural human right. This right ensures that individuals can participate and enjoy their cultural heritage. That is one. Social activities and community life. So the three important things here: cultural heritage, social activities, and community life. So these rights are also very, very important. This is the reason why we have our various cultural festivals being celebrated, as time due. Community life, communal labor, instrument and inskillment of chiefs. All these things are rights that we have. Now let's go to the next category of right. That is the last one that I would like to talk about, is the development-oriented human right. The development-oriented human right ensures that individuals can participate and benefit from economic, social, and cultural development. This right aims to promote sustainable development, poverty reduction, and human well-being. Examples of this right are right to development and economic empowerment. Article 36 of the 1992 Constitution explains it clearly. Right to clean environment and sustainable development. Article 41, the 1992 Constitution explains this also clearly. Then the right to access information technology. Article 21 of the 1992 Constitution also explains this clearly. This is the RIT bill. That is the RIT law, which guarantees or permits any individual to acquire any information from any organization or institution in Ghana. So at this point, we are done with the 5 types of right or categories of right that we have. So first, we spoke of the civil human right. Second, political human right. Third, we came to social and cultural human right. Then, we also talk about political human right, of course. Now, before we end our discussion or we go to the last item on our discussion, I would like you to subscribe, share, and follow us on Telegram and YouTube as well to get content, educative content, political content, any content of your choice, of course. Now let's go to the last item on today's discussion, which we are going to look at some selected concept that cannot be left out when you are treating human right. Of course, fundamental human right in Ghana. So the first one that we look at is justice. Justice is a situation whereby someone is being treated fair or being given what he or she deserves. In legal terms, we can say it is the application of the rule of law. So justice is very, very important when we are treating human right. No wonder we have it as part of our motto, freedom and justice. It is this justice that, helps people to develop that trust in our various democratic institutions. The next concept that we'll be looking at is equality. Equality. Every society needs this element to thrive well, to avoid chaos, to avoid instability. So equality is a situation whereby each and every one is given the same opportunity, advantage, merit, and you can say everything. So in a situation where someone is not being discriminated in terms of education, everybody has equal opportunity, equal advantage, equal merit. In terms of economic, regards to employment, everybody has equal share. This reminds me of one concept or one idea or one thought in social studies that I really like. The government, distribute our cake fairly, equally, as equal distribution of the national cake. So when there is an equal distribution of the national cake, it promotes peace and harmony. No tribe, no individual feels that he or she is left out. And this promotes the protection of human rights and of course makes our democracy an enthralling one. Now, let's look at the other concept that we can talk about, equity. Equity. So, in a situation of what? Treating people equally. Equity, treating people equally, or creating a leverage platform for each and every one. Very, very important concept. I'm talking about human right. Treating people equally, and it is even embedded in justice, because you can't treat justice when you don't treat everybody equally. Now, the last one that I would like to talk about is diversity. Diversity. Embracing all forms of people, embracing all categories of people, children, women, the marginalized, the poor, the rich, and what have you. This makes me remember one bill before Parliament, that is the Affirmative Action Bill, which seeks to project, individuals who are weak, marginalized in our society. So, diversity is very, very key. And we are talking about human rights and, of course, protection of human rights and democracy. So, as we have a situation whereby individuals from different backgrounds, from different groups, from different class are being embraced, from different tribe. Now, because of diversity, you go into a particular institution, you go into a particular school, you have different types of people there. Because of diversity, when you visit some of the colleges, you have the hearing impaired, the visually impaired. All these people find themselves in the normal educational space, not like the segregated one that they used to have. This is the diversity that we are talking about. Giving women equal opportunity, equal space in politics. This is the diversity that we are talking about. So, this brings us to the end of some of the key concepts that we want to highlight as far as human rights is concerned. So, let's do a brief recap. We started by looking at some rights enshrined in the 1992 Constitution. There are a lot of them, but we looked at only 4. So, we look at the right to life, right to education, right to fair hearing and trial, and right to freedom of speech. From there, we look at the 5 categories of human right. So we look at the civil human right, social and cultural human right, political human right, development-oriented human right, and the likes. Then lastly, we look at some key concepts that are very, very relevant for this discussion as far as human right is concerned and protection of it as well. So we talked about justice, we talked about equity, we talked about equality, and finally, we talked about diversity. I hope you enjoyed this presentation. Don't forget to subscribe and comment so that we get your views on our various videos. Hit the notification bell also so that you get updated with our various videos, content, multi-purpose content, of course. Have a lovely day. Thank you.